All right, welcome back to the Dose Leprechauns podcast. This is season 10, episode 13, and it's game day, game morning for us. It's 8:31 over here. It's about 29 minutes until game time, and I'm fired up. Are you fired up?
Oh yeah, always fired up for game day.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one today. Another ranked opponent for Notre Dame, another test. This is another road game. They're in the Meadowlands. They're in New Jersey, New York, wherever they are today. So another big test today. Another big game for Marcus Freeman. Of note, Freeman's looking for his longest win streak to extend it to 6 from 5. He tied the streak last week against Georgia Tech from 2022 from 5 games. So hopefully Freeman will get to 6 today and continue the streak that Notre Dame's on.
Just some updated news here. No new injuries to report. So everybody that was listed on the 2 deep of the depth chart that was posted is going to play. And Billy Scaruth was actually seen just a few minutes ago taking some reps at guard next to Coogan. So that's kind of some exciting news to have that extra depth piece. I don't know if he'll start. I still hope Rocco starts. But if not, Billy Scaruth looks like he's ready to go and play, which we were still kind of on the fence if he was going to up until this morning, really. As Nate mentioned, big test for the Irish today. It's always a big test against Navy. We've seen in years past where they're all triple option. Could run the fullback, could run the tailback, could run the quarterback, or they could, maybe throw 2 times a game. I think you're going to see a lot different team, and Nate's going to get to that here in a minute from Navy this year. But I think that you're going to see a lot different team from the Irish this year too, because we've got some incredibly athletic linebackers who are really starting to gel and come alive together. I mean, Drake had his coming out party last weekend against Georgia Tech. He's kind of getting better each game. And I think this game is tailor-made for somebody like him and Kingston, Valley Moose, KVA. Jack Kaiser, a guy that sometimes against some of these really athletic teams of, the Louisville, Texas A&M type teams is sometimes looks a little bit out of place or out of position or whatever you want to say. Against Navy, I think his skills are tailor-made for a game like this.
Oh yeah, I think Jack Kaiser is going to be huge today. He's played Navy the most of any linebackers that are going to be on the field today.
I think any player on the team, actually.
Yeah, and it's just huge because you need leadership at the linebacker position, and with KVA and Drake Bowen, like Al Golden said, who are rookies, which I love that term, but I think it's huge that Kaiser has that leadership, and he's going to have a huge game today. I'm expecting about 10 plus tackles from Kaiser today.
No, that's a good call. Yeah, I think Kaiser is going to be big as that leadership role. You may have heard in some of the post-practice comments from Al Golden, they asked about eye discipline and things of that nature for the defenders. And he basically just talked about how they've worked on some of the install to counteract the option and some of the crazy things that Navy will throw at them for a few weeks now, including in the bye week. So I'm happy to hear that because it really is something different. I mean, they asked Drake Bowen if he had faced some option teams before, and he said yes. In high school he had, but it's high school, right? I mean, this is all Navy does. It's their bread and butter, triple option, and they run it consistently, and they run it really well. They're well coached. I really like their head coach now. They have a really good quarterback, which again Nate will get to here in a minute. And yeah, it's going to be a real challenge. I'll be honest, I'm not as confident as some of the others. Definitely not as confident as the odds makers in Vegas. We're currently sitting at a 13.5 favorite against Navy, which I think is very generous considering Navy is currently 6-0. Everybody's going to say, well, Navy hasn't played anybody, which is correct. They really haven't. Their competition definitely hasn't been on the level of what we've seen, but they're still 6-0, very disciplined team. They keep getting better, it seems, week after week, and obviously they're going to score.
Yeah, their offense is probably the best that Notre Dame's seen for at least 5 years, from going back to the game at Yankee Stadium a few years ago, I'd say. But honestly, it's a good test for Notre Dame to kind of shut people up, shut ESPN up, shut everybody up that's saying Navy's going to win this game, Notre Dame's going to lose, Navy's America's team, blah, blah, blah. I get that. It's a cool narrative to write, but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm a huge Navy fan 364 days out of the year, I should say. Not on the day when Notre Dame plays Navy, but every other day I root for these guys. I mean, these are guys and girls, guys on the football team that are going to be serving our country, protecting our freedoms and keeping us safe when they're done with their playing career. And, everybody complains about Navy and, the chop blocks and the way they play and all that kind of stuff. Look, man, they want to go out there and win a game. This is their Super Bowl. You may say, oh, Army's their Super Bowl. Army's just that, the rivalry game that they get fired up for. And obviously it means so much to them. But in my opinion, Navy's Super Bowl is Notre Dame, just like every other team that Notre Dame plays.
And that's why Northern Illinois beat us. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, Northern Illinois played perfect. The whole offseason, their focus was to beat Notre Dame, not to beat any other team, Toledo this season, any other team. That's why they're struggling with Toledo's at home and stuff like that.
Right. Getting into I wanted to go over the schedule that Navy's had this thus far. They opened up against Bucknell. If anybody out there went to Bucknell, I apologize, but don't think I've ever heard of Bucknell. They beat Bucknell 49-21. They beat Temple at home 38-11. They beat a pretty decent Memphis team, 56-44. I don't think Memphis plays a whole lot of defense, but that's besides the point. And then they beat Air Force 34-7. And then last week they beat Charlotte 51-17. So, their lowest point total so far is 34. So they're obviously going to be able to score, and that's going to be something that I think plays into our strengths because our defense has been electric this year. And I think, again, this is kind of a game that's tailor-made for the linebackers that we'll have out there most of the time. Nate, can you talk a little bit about what Navy's going to do offensively? What are some things to look for?
Yeah, so, of course, they're going to run the triple option like we all know and love. But they're also going to run out of shotgun, which, like, shotgun, that doesn't make sense. But, yeah, they do. They have a dynamic quarterback, Blake Horvath. He's a playmaker. He's going to make plays today. He's going to get first downs when you don't expect them to get first downs. It's going to happen. They also have a running back that's pretty good. He's basically their leading receiver, leading rusher. He does it all. He runs out of the backfield. They love to run wheel routes out of the backfield. So again, a big game for Jack Kaiser and Drake Bowen, and KVA is so necessary. Like you alluded to, Navy hasn't really played anybody great, I guess we'll say. They allowed a lot of chunk plays to Memphis, who is probably their best opponent to date. Their defense is pretty good. They like to blitz a lot. Their best player is their safety by far, and his name is Deshaun Peel. He has 3 interceptions on the season.
Wow.
He makes plays. He makes plays, but also he made those plays against a pretty bad Charlotte team, 2 interceptions in one game. And so Notre Dame's just going to have to play their game. Notre Dame is going to have to be Notre Dame. If they get into a dogfight in the second half and it's a tie game going into halftime, Notre Dame's going to be able to out-athlete almost any team they play the rest of the season. Sure. I will go on record saying that, especially against Navy. If it comes to that, they're going to out-athlete every single player on the field.
That's a great point, Nate. I think that you talk about the athletes, and that's one of the things that I think that Freeman has really brought to this program that Kelly maybe didn't do as much, and that's getting these athletes. Kelly would have some great players, bring in a couple athletes here and there, but I feel like Freeman and his team are concerned with always bringing in the guys that can really make those athletic plays and like you said, out-athlete people, right? Like you get a guy like KVA. Is he the biggest linebacker? No. Is he going to be a guy like a Drake Bowen that's going to go in there and just lay the thump? No. Yes, but he's also going to be a guy that can cover. He's going to be a guy that can make some of those athletic plays. Jalen Sneed. I'm thinking about our defensive ends today. Junior, Josh Burnham. RJ Oben's going to have to be big today because what you're going to have to see a lot of, you're going to have to see us rotate quickly because if not, these guys are going to get tired and they just run. It's so fast. We've all seen it before. They're going to go fast. They're going to go extremely fast. And we're going to have to be able to keep up. I
think another big thing is Riley Mills and Howard Cross are really starting to come to their own in the last few weeks. So if they could get through, cause some issues for that Navy offense, that's huge.
Couple comments here from the audience. We got David Carson who says we can crush down on their offensive run schemes with very fast ends. Yeah, exactly. And Josh Burnham, he's deceptively fast. He's a guy that, he had that interception against Stanford. He almost had a pick last week against Georgia Tech. Really starting to come alive. It looks like he's finally fully healthy. Junior will be out there, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his last name. Another guy that I think You had Drake Bowen get the game ball last week, kind of came out of not hiding, but he kind of came out of like, hey, here I am. He announced himself. Bryce Young is, I think, going to have a huge game today, kind of going to arrive, so to speak. Logan Thomas, the other freshman defensive end that'll play, is going to have a big game. You're going to need to see your corners make tackles. I don't think there's any stretch of the imagination that make you think that Navy's going to be able to go over the top consistently on our corners, but the corners are still going to have to make plays. Christian Gray, Lance Moore,
Leonard Moore.
I'm sorry, Leonard Moore. They're going to have to make plays. Xavier Watts, having him as that safety blanket is always something great. Jordan Clark, I think, will have a big game. I think defensively, you're going to just see a really sound defense from us today. Let's see. Justin Knox, depth has already proven to show how well the staff is recruited with all the season-ending losses. Yeah, we lost our starting defensive end and Jordan Botello, and then Troubacourt comes in and gets hurt. And now we've got other guys filling in those holes. You've lost Benmo, and now Leonard Moore steps up and is playing real well. So, yeah, the depth has been impressive. Jason Lynch, yo, fellas, what's up, buddy? Good morning, my friends. That's from Brett Boyson. I hope everybody's having a good morning. It's going to be a great morning. Justin Knox, we got some score predictions coming in. Justin Knox says 38-20 Irish. David Carson says go Irish 36-14. Jason Lynch, do you think Donald Faison sees the fields?
I think he's out today.
Is he? No, he's in.
No, Donald Faison's out. Jordan Faison's playing.
Yeah, that guy. Jay Strong, I think Navy is going to see a defense like no other they have seen. First set of downs going to be used to figure it out, but going to be big. Yeah, agreed.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Brian Campbell, is a noon start a concern with how slow Notre Dame starts when it's 3:30 or 7:30 game? I don't think so. I think that I don't think the time frame necessarily has anything to do with that. I think it's just, for whatever reason, this particular version of Notre Dame's offense just starts slow, and it's mind-boggling, to be honest with you. We saw them come out and score against Northern Illinois, then they went flat. Every other game, it kind of seems like they come out flat and then pick things up. So it's been odd, but I'm pretty confident in their game plan today. I run, RTDB, run the damn ball all day long. We really don't need to throw it too much. I think our offensive line can establish their dominance and just have Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, Aeneas Williams all go off, and be close to, if not over 100 yards. Sylvette Andrada said, on College Day, I noticed that they're giving Navy more hype. It's okay. Irish is going to dominate. Yeah, it's getting pretty gross. I don't think people want Notre Dame in the playoffs. They're going to be if they go 11-1, if they win out. But yeah, again, we went through the schedule. There's not a lot of world beaters that Navy's faced and beat this year. And they've given up a lot of points to some of those teams that you've never really heard of. So
I think you and I talked about it this week. Like, the only reason Navy's ranked this week is because they're playing Notre Dame. If they're playing UCF, they're not ranked.
I went back and looked at David Carson has a good point here. Early substitutions is the key against the option. Just ask Colts. I actually was watching some highlights from the Notre Dame Navy game of 1992. I think I was watching. And yeah, Coach Holtz had guys flying in and out on just about every other, every 2 or 3 downs, you would see new guys coming out to play linebacker, new guys coming out to play corner, safety, defensive linemen coming in and out. And they were small, but fast and athletic. And that's kind of what we have now, except for I'm also, we keep talking about these guys we're excited to see, Bryce Young, Logan Thomas, the linebackers. I'm also excited to see Gabe Rubio getting healthier and healthier each week. He had a nice game against Georgia Tech last week. And the defensive linemen in the trenches, a lot of them don't get love. You hear the Howard Crosses, the Riley Mills, but a lot of these backup guys are crucial because they get tired. They're big fellas. They go after it each time. So I think Gabe Rubio is going to have to play a big role today too, and I think he will. Let's see what else we got here. Brian Campbell's guess prediction is 34-20. Justin Knox says 11-1 is an automatic playoff bid. We need to try to get that round 1 game in South Bend. Man, what a dream that would be, right, guys? A Notre Dame playoff game in South Bend in December, January. Ken Murphy, hey guys, how you doing, Ken? Good to see you. Carmel Humphrey would love to see Mookum today. Yeah, he's another one of those defensive tackles that you don't hear a lot about, but he takes up a huge gap, and he's going to be somebody that I think we'll see today quite a bit.
He made a nice play last week at the end of the game, if I remember correctly.
Jason Lynch, one of the other Dos Leprechauns admin, says, thoughts on Gobira checking out? It is what it is. He probably sees the writing on the wall that we've got a lot of young and upcoming defensive linemen, and he was hurt quite a bit, so it's not that surprising to see. And for all those that panic every time anybody transfers, even if it's somebody they've never heard of before. And I'm just saying, like, some people see a name that's transferred. Oh my, it's the end of the world. The sky is falling. Gobira is going to go probably to a smaller school and play a lot. And I hope he does real well. We wish him the best. There's going to be other transfers now that you see some of these guys sitting out the rest of the season to then go get ready to play somewhere else. That's their prerogative, man. And that's the new world of college football. We just have to adapt. And I think Coach Freeman and his crew do that better than just about any coach in the country. I mean, it came up in a forum recently where it talks about Coach of the Year and why Coach Freeman should be considered for that award. And I think it's absolutely fitting that he would be considered. I mean, you lose your top corner, your top defensive end, 2 of your top defensive ends, and several of your starting offensive linemen, one before the season even started. And yet here we are at 6-1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
impressive. Honestly, it is, especially with, the guys that haven't been on the injured list necessarily, like Mitchell Evans, even Faison, who's been playing a little injured. Like, it's crazy to me how good Notre Dame's been with how injured they are.
Yeah, the depth has been impressive for sure, as Justin Knox mentioned. Yeah. Luis Alberto Rescalvo Tafoya, good morning from Reno, Nevada, home ground, Fresno, California. What's up? Cali in the house, right? We're in Arizona, but Cali, whatever. Walter Mackey, the big dog. I'm thinking Irish by 14, run the ball. Yeah, couldn't say it better, Walter. We love when they run the ball, especially when you got a guy like Jeremiah Love back there that is he's the best running back. There's been some good ones to me. He's the best all-around running back we've had since Ricky Waters, who, tell me he doesn't remind you guys of Ricky Waters. Runs with that same intensity, but he can make some plays, make some guys miss. He can catch the ball. Ricky Waters is one of my all-time favorite Irish players, and Jeremiah Love to me is a very good comparison to Ricky Waters, who is a nominee for the the NFL Hall of Fame. So not bad company to keep, I would say. Ricky Running Waters, it's from Brian Campbell. He was something special, man, and never forget guys like that. So there was a couple. Brian Campbell also chimed in a while back with Bucknell is in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. I live right by their stadium. They're more of a basketball school. They beat Kansas in the NCAA tournament before and a few other big teams. That's cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just never knew who that was. Love is bigger than most people realize, all of 210. Yeah, he leaned out a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, during the offseason. But, yeah, he's probably, 6'2", 210, runs probably a 4.5 40. I mean, he's just a very special player, and we just got to keep him healthy down the long run here. Carmel Humphrey, we can't just sit on the run game. We got to get short passes to Mitchell, Faison, Love, and put up points quick. We shouldn't be trying to match them long drive to long drive. We need to score. We need to score in bunches, and we need to score quick. It's somebody, I think it was Brady Quinn, was talking about this on one of the college game day shows the other day on the radio on Sirius XM, and he said that if you miss possessions, you miss scoring opportunities against Navy, you turn around, and it's already 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And this game, it'll start about 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. This game will probably be over by noon. It's just they run so fast. I always feel like, dang, that game already passed. Like, it just always go by so fast. I remember last year for the Notre Dame Navy game in Ireland, it went on a little bit longer, but I think when I went back and watched it a few different times, the number of commercials and stuff during the breaks was insane. Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just think it's also because Notre Dame kind of just crushed them. Like, there's really no other way to put it. Yeah, that's true. I think the Notre Dame offense is going to be a little bit similar today, or it's going to need to be. Some of those RPO passes that Hartman made that Riley's going to have to make today.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Keith Traverse says, here at the much respect to Navy, but go Irish. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned at the start of the show, 364 days out of the year, I absolutely love everything about Navy, their football team, basketball, soccer, baseball. Do they have a soccer team? The fact that they're going to be heroes in, 2 months, fighting for our freedoms. But today, I hope they're not. But literally the second the clock hits all zeros, hug them, give them a high five, go sing the alma mater together, which is still one of the coolest traditions in all of sports, is Navy and Notre Dame linking up at the end of each time they play each other to sing or to at least line up to hear or listen or sing their alma maters, which I think is just so cool. Fred Benson on YouTube says, remember that Navy has faced teams from the American Conference, and Indy is their first real test. The Irish will win easily. Go Irish, go Dos Leprechauns. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Fred. We appreciate that, brother. The American Conference, we lost to a freaking, what the hell conference are they in, MAC?
Yeah, MAC team.
So everybody's always, oh, this is going to be an easy win. Everybody always asks me, are you worried about this game? And my answer always will remain the same since I'm 13 years old. Yes, I'm worried about every single game we play, because in 1993, when those rat bastards from Boston College ruined my entire childhood, I'm being a little facetious, but it was pretty bad. That's when I was like, wait a sec, Notre Dame can actually lose games against bad teams? Because if I started watching when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, against when Holtz, we didn't lose to these teams that we shouldn't lose to, right? In 88, obviously. And then in 93, we beat Florida State and then come back and just absolutely drop an egg on against the Boston College to pretty much ruin the season. And that was kind of a wake-up call for me, where I was like, wow, we're not invincible. And now to this day, I always am confident Notre Dame's going to win no matter who we're playing, probably overconfident in certain cases, but I'm always like, yeah, I have concerns because I'm a jinx. Jesse Marino, looking to see a breakout passing game from Leonard. Go Irish. I like that. Freaking Boston College. Exactly. Jay Strong. Great answer, Jason. Thanks. Yeah, I'm sure you can feel that too, Jay. Ken Walters. This is one of the two games that I want Navy to lose. Go Irish and go Army. Beat Navy. Sing second. Listen here, Ken. You want Navy to win against Army too. I know you're an Army guy, but Navy is going to beat Army this year. Carmel Humphrey, what a day that was. Yeah, I will never, ever, ever forget that. My dad came in and was like, why are you crying? I was literally crying like a little baby, 13 years old. It happens to the best of them. Yep. That's from Zach Schaefer. John David Harmon. Are we tipping ourselves with Jeremiah Love? It seems like the last couple of games he's getting hit as soon as he takes the handoff. I think it's no surprise that every time Jeremiah Love's in the backfield, he's going to get the ball. Just about every time anyways. So tipping our hand maybe a little bit, but at the end of the day, you still got to stop them. And our O-line is really gelling as well, which is another great thing. I don't think that's going to be an issue. A discussion for another day. What in the world? What happened? Sorry, guys. We have a little technical difficulty here. A discussion for another day, but they need to come off the schedule every single year. It's a no-win situation for us in football. That is definitely, Justin, that's definitely a discussion for another day, because I don't know how you feel about this, Nate, but I would never want Notre Dame to be off the schedule.
I mean, I'm fine with keeping it on the schedule, but I agree with Justin. The game really does nothing for Notre Dame.
No, it's a lose-lose, absolutely.
Especially this year, just because, they put in numbers next to Navy to make it look like Navy's, going to make the playoffs.
I don't think you can say they're just putting a number. I mean, they've beat everybody on their schedule. They're undefeated.
I mean, I agree with that, but there's other teams that I feel are more deserving, have played better teams that should be ranked. I just think putting Navy as a ranked team is just to laugh at Notre Dame, to be honest with everybody. If they win, it's Notre Dame lost to Navy, they suck, blah, 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 blah. Same typical stuff. But if they win, it's Navy. It's they're not good, blah, 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 blah. Just typical.
Carmel Humphrey should be the first game of the year. In the middle of the year, it's rough. Yeah, that's a great point, because you've prepared all year for traditional, quote unquote, offenses, and then you come middle of the year and you've got the triple option to prepare for. Great point, Carmel. That's a really good point. Zach Schaefer, I agree. I think he agrees with your point, which is fair. But it's a debt of gratitude, man. And Notre Dame, a lot of us love Notre Dame for the tradition and the pageantry and things of that nature. Notre Dame Navy will always be the debt of gratitude that we've decided to keep. And I am listening to Bavakwa, the new AD. I don't see Navy coming off our schedule anytime soon, no matter what happens with conferences, non-conference, playoffs, blah, 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 blah. Again, and I was arguing with some dumb LSU fan earlier this week about how he said, even if Notre Dame runs the table, they're not going to be in the playoffs. And I said, anytime Notre Dame is undefeated or even one loss, I think they're going to be right there in that conversation in the top 12, which I love the fact that they expanded to the top 12. That's just my opinion.
The funny thing is last year after we lost to Ohio State, there were still talks like, can Notre Dame still make the playoffs even with one loss? And that was with 4 teams. So I don't know. Notre Dame's always going to be in conversations.
This is a funny comment right here from Brian Campbell. Could be Alabama in the SEC, and we play Sisters of the Blind in Week 11, which is a joke. Yeah, I mean, they line up some real tough ones toward the end of the season. But at the end of the day, too, though, the SEC, it's a dog-eat-dog, kill-or-be-killed kind of conference. So, they definitely play their share of big dogs. But Carmel also said, it's another ranked win regardless, and that's a category they consider. Yeah, you beat Navy today. You got 3. We're one of the only teams with 2 wins against ranked opponents. If you beat Navy, that's 3. And then realistically, you'll probably have Army still ranked when we play them in a few weeks. And you could even see SC. They beat Rutgers yesterday by, 22?
21.
Which at home, big whoop-de-doo. But SC's not getting ranked. They have, 3 losses now?
Yeah, actually, I think they're at 500 right now.
And I'll just say it for the record again, I don't give a crap what we need SC to do. I want SC to lose every game, every sport, every mock trial, everything. I want them to lose and be miserable. And if anybody ever wants to have a conversation with me about my hate for SC, I'd love to do it offline, because there's some things that you should know about going to the Coliseum. It's just an absolute dump and a horrible place to watch a game.
What about competitive high-fiving?
Whatever it takes, they should lose that. Remember, what do you call it? Pokemon Go. I want them to have the least amount of Pokemon Goes. Lose everything, LOL. That's right, Carmel. They need to lose everything. Thanks for doing this every week. Love listening to you guys. You know your stuff about ND. I want LSU to lose today against A&M.
That'd be nice.
That's from Zach Schaefer. Couldn't agree more. I was one of those Kelly left, no big deal, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I was upset how he left, especially when we learned some of the shady things he did on his way out, sort of deal. Now I want them to lose, because it'll help our playoff chances. Because if A&M beats LSU, that's going to look good for our strength of schedule as well. In fact, I've seen some models where A&M we're one of the first 4 out and A&M sneaks in, which would be freaking hilarious, because we'd both be 11-1. But that's besides the point. If USC never wins, I'm the happiest man in the world. Exactly. There's a reason we say F USC. They're just a bunch of scumbags, and that's another game that I hope they never take off our schedule. And it's not like, Michigan or something like that. It's deep for me because of going to those games when I was little until now. So yeah, they need to lose everything. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump off, because the game will be starting in about 2 minutes. Hope to see you guys in about 3 hours for post-game celebration, and not post-game therapy, but I think we'll be celebrating at the end in about 3.5 hours. So everybody have a blessed day. Go Irish, beat Navy.